Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start this lesson off by giving all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakudash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to all the brothers who are still fervently pushing the word in sincerity and in faith, and Shalom to all the sincere believers. Now, this lesson is going to be an update on Hurricane Melissa. So, through the Spirit, I'm going to read this article, get some precepts, and Lord's will, you're edified. This Category 2 storm slams into Cuba after devastating Jamaica. Says Hurricane Melissa made landfall in Cuba this morning as an extremely dangerous Category 3 hurricane, the National Hurricane Center in Miami said. At least 36 deaths are being attributed to the storm across Jamaica, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic, according to officials. As of 5 p.m. ET, the now Category 1 storm had moved off of Cuba and was heading toward the Bahamas. The NHC said it is expected to bring heavy rain and flooding to the southeast Bahamas. Melissa made landfall in Jamaica as a Category 5 hurricane around 1 p.m. ET yesterday, as the strongest hurricane in the island's history. Prime Minister Andrew Holness declared the country a disaster area, with St. Elizabeth Parish reported to be underwater. The storm was the most powerful of the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season and one of the strongest hurricanes to make landfall in the Atlantic basin. It says Hurricane Melissa's maximum sustained winds dropped from 100 to 90 miles per hour this afternoon, the National Hurricane Center said at 5 p.m. ET, making the storm a Category 1. But damaging winds, flooding rains, and a dangerous storm surge will persist for the Bahamas through tonight, the agency said. The center of the hurricane is expected to move over southeastern or central Bahamas this evening and to pass near or to the west of Bermuda tomorrow night. The southeast Bahamas are forecast to get 5 to 10 inches of rain through tomorrow morning, which will cause flash flooding. Hurricane conditions will start in Bermuda tomorrow and tomorrow night. At 5 p.m. ET, the center of the hurricane was around 110 miles south-southeast of the central Bahamas, the NHC said, and it was moving northeast at 15 miles per hour. Yeah, so this is one of the Lord's hurricanes that he used to unleash upon Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and now it's headed towards the Bahamas. Isaiah 29:6. Thou shalt be visited of the Lord Yahweh of hosts with thunder, and with earthquake, and great noise, with storm and tempest, and the flame of devouring fire. And that's what the Lord has been doing. Sending tropical storms, tornadoes, hurricanes, hailstorms, upon these different countries, upon these different cities, upon these islands, just wreaking havoc, causing a lot of destruction, a couple of deaths. And this is the Lord visiting. This is what it looks like when the Lord visits with his judgments. Isaiah 28:2. Behold, the Lord hath the mighty and strong one, which has a tempest of hail and a destroying storm, as a flood of mighty waters overflowing shall cast down to the earth with the hand. And when the Lord unleashes these tropical storms and these hurricanes and these monsoons and typhoons in particular, there's a lot of destruction and there's a lot of flooding that happens, a lot of flash flooding that occurs. Towns and neighborhoods get just overrun by these mighty floodwaters. people's, you know, business gets destroyed, people's homes get destroyed, you know, people people get killed, people drown. It's a very serious and very dangerous and deadly event that takes place. And the men of the Lord have been warning people that in these last days, there were going to be a lot more tornadoes and hurricanes and lightning storms and hailstorms and monsoons and typhoons and fires and earthquakes and all sorts of judgments. But majority of people don't want to heed those warnings. Majority of people are still not listening to the men of the Lord. And that's why we can't really feel bad for these people when they get caught up in these judgments, because it's not like they weren't being warned that it was going to happen. A lot of these people, especially Jake, is the Israelites, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, they have that ancient spirit on them where, just like how back in ancient times, when Moses would go up to the mountain to speak to the Lord and receive instructions, and then, the 2/3 were like that they wanted to speak to the Heavenly Father themselves. And then the Lord, he, had like the earth shaking, and, there was lightning and thunder. And then Jake got scared, and it was like, never mind, like let Moses keep, going up there. That's how a lot of 2/3 are in this life. They want the Lord to come down himself and tell them that if they don't stop being wicked, he's going to bring judgment upon them. Otherwise, these 2/3 are not going to take anything seriously. They're going to keep saying, oh, that, God is all about loving everybody. Or they're going to say that they don't believe the Lord exists. They're going to say that they believe that the Bible is a fairy tale book. It's make believe, basically sounding like Esau, sounding like the so-called white man with all of that nonsense. And that's why the Lord is bringing all this judgment. That's why, you know, it, predominantly Israelite areas like Jamaica, like the Bahamas, like Puerto Rico, like the Dominican Republic, like Cuba, mostly Israelite populated areas are getting hit so hard because the Lord is bringing judgment upon the wicked of his own people who keep thinking that everything is a game. They think everything is a joke. If there's one thing that Jake knows how to do, it's not take anything seriously. Like everything is a laughing matter to these 2/3. And the Lord, he's bringing that judgment upon them to let them know that he doesn't think it's funny. Them being out here being wicked, that's not funny to the Lord. And the Lord is constantly dishing out the judgments to show you what happens when you're wicked. But because these 2/3 are so far gone, this doesn't register. It doesn't register that the reason why they're being punished so severely is because they're being wicked. And this is the only thing that the Lord can do, because you have the men of the Lord, like I said. You have the men of the Lord warning these people, doing lessons, going out on the highways and hedges in places like Jamaica and Cuba and, the Dominican Republic. There are men of the Lord out there. But the people still don't want to listen. They don't want to heed the warning. So now they got to get punished. Plain and simple. You don't want to listen, you're going to get hurt. And there's these wicked people that'll be like, oh, this is just Mother Nature, like all of these wicked people, they're going to continue to get visited by the Lord because they refuse to acknowledge him. They'll say that it's Mother Nature, that it's global warming, that it's climate change. They'll say it's anything and everything except the power of the Lord. Psalms 11:6. Upon the wicked he shall rain snares, fire and brimstone, and in horrible tempest. This shall be the portion of their cup. And when you look up the definition of tempest, it means a violent windy storm, such as hurricanes or tornadoes. And right now, those different islands are getting hit with, tornadoes. I mean, not tornadoes, like hurricanes and tropical storms. Like the Lord really is not playing with 2/3 of his people. Psalms 83:14. As the fire burneth a wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. Verse 15. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. And that is exactly what the Lord is doing. Tropical storms, tornadoes, hurricanes. These are his storms and tempests that he is unleashing upon different places to bring judgment upon them for all the wickedness that's going on in these places. Psalm 7 and 11. Yahweh judgeth the righteous, and Yahweh is angry with the wicked every day. And that's why judgments take place every day. That's why shootings and stabbings and car crashes and, just overall people getting wounded and killed and, destruction taking place happens every day. Because that's the anger of the Lord being put on display. The men of the Lord are constantly saying that. All of these things that take place, these are the judgments of the Lord. This is his vengeance. This is his wrath. This is his anger being manifested. Psalms 9 and 16. The Lord Yahweh is known by the judgment which he executeth. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. Higgaion Selah. Yeah. The Heavenly Father is known by his judgments. And right now, these hurricanes, this Hurricane Melissa, that is his judgment. All the destruction, all the death, all the mourning and weeping that's going on as a result of the destruction and death. That's the judgment of the Lord right there. And best believe the Lord is not finished bringing judgment upon these wicked Israelites. He's not finished bringing judgment upon these wicked people in general, whether they're Israelites or of these other nations. He has a lot more in store for them because these wicked people are never going to change. Deuteronomy 32:39. See now that I, even I, am he, and there is no power with me. I kill, and I make alive. I wound, and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. And that's right. The Heavenly Father, through his judgments, wounds and kills these wicked people. And there is nobody that can deliver you or save you out of the hand of the Lord. That's why in Hebrews 10 and 31 it says it is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the Lord. Because once you fall into the hands of the Lord, there's nothing that can be done. These meteorologists, who try to warn you, these seismologists who try to warn you, the men of the Lord who warn you, the police, the firefighters, doctors, the military. Nobody can save you once the Lord starts pouring out his wrath. Whoever is meant to get caught up in that is going to get caught up. And if they're meant to get wounded, they're going to get wounded. And if they're meant to get killed, they're going to die. And that's just the end of it. First Samuel 2:6, the Lord Yahweh killeth, and maketh alive. He bringeth down to the grave, and bringeth up. And right now, via his storms and tempests, the Lord is causing a lot of destruction and killing a lot of people. And that's merely these wicked people reaping what they've sown, for thinking that this was a joke, for thinking that this is a game. You see, it's all fun and games until the Lord sends a hurricane upon these people. Then all of a sudden they're crying out for help and all of that. And it's like, nah, you should have been thinking about that before you provoked the Heavenly Father unto wrath. And now you got to receive those sore strokes. Job 4:7, remember, I pray thee, whoever perished being innocent, or where were the righteous cut off? And the answer is that no one has perished being innocent, nor were the righteous cut off. So the men, the women, and the children out there that are dying in these different countries, on these different islands that are being hit with this hurricane, or that have been hit by this hurricane, they were not innocent. And I know a lot of people are going to get all up in their feelings because, oh, the children. But hey, like it says in Romans 2:11, there is no respect of persons with Yahweh. In the eyes of the Lord, a lot of these children are wicked as well. So they got to get taken out as well. And people want to be like, well, what did the children do? More than likely, the Lord is punishing them for something that they did in their past life, because reincarnation is a thing, and the scriptures talk about that. The scriptures talk about every third or fourth generation we get brought back. So you die, and then 3 or 4 generations later, you come back to play out whatever judgment the Lord has in store for you in this life. So when you see children and babies dying, that's the Lord judging them early on for whatever they did in the past. They're now getting judged for in the present. And it doesn't make sense to a lot of people because, a lot of people, the Lord has not blessed them with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, so they don't understand it. And we can't explain it to them until the Lord opens their mind to understand it. But that is, the gist of it. Everybody on this earth comes back every third or fourth generation to play out whatever judgment the Lord has in store for them. So all of these people that run around talking about, oh, you only live once. No, you don't. You live multiple lives. But like I said, that's way too advanced for a lot of people to comprehend. A lot of people are very surface level when it comes to what they understand. Verse 8, even as I have seen, they that plow iniquity and sow wickedness reap the same. And that's where all the judgment comes into place. The Lord is not just sending out earthquakes and hurricanes and tornadoes and fires and, having people get shot to death and stabbed to death and bringing all sorts of horrific judgments upon people just because. He's not doing it just for fun. He's doing it because these people are just being nonstop wicked, and it's angering him. And then you have the men of the Lord warning these people, letting them know, like, hey, you keep doing that, the Lord is going to punish you. He's going to judge you. And instead of these people taking those warnings seriously, they keep playing around. And then that judgment comes. That's what it is. It's all fun and games until the Lord sends his spirits of vengeance. Then all of a sudden, everybody wants to be serious and everybody wants to act right. It's like, nah, you got to receive those sore strokes. You provoke the Heavenly Father unto wrath, you got to get what comes along with that. Proverbs 19:23, the fear of the Lord Yahweh tendeth to life, and he that hath it shall abide satisfied, he shall not be visited with evil. And that's right, if you're out here fearing the Lord, following the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of your ability, rehearsing the righteous acts, staying fervent and diligent in his faith, you know, then the Lord, he's going to take care of you. He's going to keep his hedge of protection over you. He's going to keep his angels encamped around about you because you fear him and you move with that fear. But a lot of people don't fear the Lord, and that's why they're out here being wicked, because they lack fear until the judgment comes. Then everybody is afraid. But it's already too late at that point because, like I said, you didn't already provoke the Heavenly Father unto wrath. So that's why people are constantly being visited with evil, because they don't fear the Lord, they don't take anything seriously, and the Lord is angry with them. Proverbs 22:3, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. And those of us of the hopeful elect, those of us who have been blessed with the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of these scriptures, we're able to foresee the evil. We read the scriptures and it says that the Lord is going to visit with storms and tempests and fires and earthquakes, and there's going to be famines, and there's going to be division amongst the people, and the love of many is going to wax cold, and that there's going to be civil wars and race wars and world war, all sorts of chaos is going to happen. And we're hiding ourselves by cleaving unto the Lord, by being under his hedge of protection. We're hiding ourselves by fearing the Lord. But these simple-minded people who think everything is a joke and everything is a game, they're passing on and getting punished. And by passing on, it just means that they hear the warnings of the men of the Lord, and instead of them, taking heed and really internalizing those warnings, they just, they ignore it. They're just like, yeah, whatever, and they go on about their life being a demon, and then the Lord brings that judgment. That's them getting punished for not listening. See, the job of the men of the Lord is to warn the people. Once the men of the Lord warn the people, whatever happens after that, happens after that, because the men of the Lord have already done their job. They warned the people. They did what they were supposed to do. They warned the people of what would happen if these people continued to be wicked. The people ignored the warnings, and then the judgment comes. Ecclesiastes 3:1, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. Verse 2, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. And for a lot of people, we are in the time and season where they're going to die. Wicked men, wicked women, and wicked children are going to continue to die. And it sounds harsh, but that's the reality of it. They have to be punished for their wickedness. And some people would ask, well, if the Lord, it doesn't want people to be wicked, then why doesn't he just make them not be wicked? That's because the Lord deals with balance. Just like there's day and night and hot and cold and left and right and up and down, there has to be righteous and wicked. There has to be righteous people and there has to be wicked people. That's why, like I said, the Lord, he's not out here just passing judgment for no reason. The people that are being judged in this life were wicked in their past life. They were wicked back then and they're wicked now. They didn't change. Just like the people who are of the hopeful elect, who the Lord, has woken up to this truth. He did that back in the day as well, back in ancient times. That's why the scriptures say there's no new thing under the sun. If you were righteous in the eyes of the Lord in ancient times, then you're righteous in the eyes of the Lord in these times. If you were wicked back then you're going to be wicked now. That's how that works. Because the Lord deals with balance. Everything is in order the way the Heavenly Father set it up. Isaiah 48:22. There is no peace, saith the Lord Yahweh, unto the wicked. And that's right. There is no peace unto these wicked people. The Lord is just going to continue to bring judgment upon them because they're going to continue to be wicked. They're going to continue to celebrate these wicked, unholy days. They're going to continue to drink too much and party too much. And they're going to continue to do drugs and get tattoos and just do all sorts of things that they should not be doing. And as long as the Lord has us on this earth, the men of the Lord are going to continue to warn these people because that's what we're supposed to do. But we know majority of these people are not going to listen, and the Lord is just going to continue to pass judgment on them, and more people are going to get killed. The Lord is just going to put more and more of these wicked people to death because they don't learn. And like it says in James 4:9, be afflicted and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning and your joy to heaviness. And those people that have been hit by Hurricane Melissa in those different places, who lost loved ones, who've lost their home, who've lost everything, they're mourning and weeping. They're crying. But they'll never acknowledge the fact that the reason why they're the ones that are getting hit is because they're the ones that are doing the wickedness. They're the ones that are provoking the Lord unto wrath. So they have to be judged. And because these people will never do any self reflection and acknowledge the fact that it's their own fault, there's not going to be any peace because they're never going to take accountability. So they're going to continue to be wicked. They're going to continue to get judged. And that's just the end of it. Well, they're going to continue to be wicked. The men of the Lord are going to continue to warn them about what being wicked is going to result in. And then they're not going to listen. And then they're going to get judged. And the men of the Lord don't necessarily have to say that we told you so, because you already know we did. You heard the warnings. You ignored the warnings. And what happens next happens next. And like I said, this is going to keep happening. The storms and tempests, the fires, the earthquakes, the volcano eruptions, people losing their jobs, just more and more judgment from the Lord is going to continue to befall this world and befall these wicked people. Like it says in 2 Timothy 3:1, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. You look up the definition of perilous and it means full of danger or risk. And we're clearly in some dangerous times with all these judgments popping off. And we are clearly living in the last days, and it's only going to get increasingly worse from here, especially for these wicked people with whom the Lord is angry with. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up here. In closing, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakakwadash, the water Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, for putting the spirit on me to do this lesson. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to our brothers who are still fervently pushing the word in sincerity and in faith, and shalom to our sincere believers. Hope you all stay strong, stay safe, stay fervent, stay circumspect, stay prayed up. Adawan Ratazah. Till next time, shalom.